All right, pre-algebra, let's review for this test. You can see the numbers there that I'll be doing. It's on page 163. Start with number 37. We are multiplying here, so we do 1/5 times 3/4. No need here to rewrite any in the form of a improper fraction. They're already fractions, so no mixed numbers involved. We just do 1 times 3 and 5 times 4. And that is fully reduced, so that is our answer. 38, -3/7 times 4/9. Now I should have checked this on the first one, but I'll check it here. While we don't have to convert mixed numbers or anything, we do need to check and see if there's anything we can cancel out. So 7 and 4, they have nothing else in common except for the number 1, so that's no help. But 3 and 9 are both divisible by 3. So I'll divide -3 by 3, get -1. Divide 9 by 3 and get 3. So always check the cross products, the diagonals basically, here to here, here to here, just to see if we can cancel anything out. So on top, -1 times 4 is -4. 7 times 3 is 21. -39, -2/3 times -5. So here it is helpful to go ahead and write the whole number as -5/1. We check the cross products. There's nothing they have in common for us to cancel out, so we just go straight into multiplying. -2 times -5 is +10, because a negative times a negative equals a positive, and 3 times 1 is 3. And just a reminder, if you wanted to convert that into a mixed number, I'd certainly accept that, but it's not required of you to do so. So both of these are equally good answers. Okay, 40, have -3.5 times -5 and 1/5. Okay, so we've got all the kit and caboodle here. We've got to start by converting these into improper fractions. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, so this is -7/2. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 1 is 26. So we check for anything we can cancel out. So we looked at this diagonal. They're both even, so I'll divide them both by 2. Nothing we can cancel out between 7 and 5 though. All right, so 7 times 13. So 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 10 is 70. So it'll become 91, -91. Oh, actually, sorry, positive, because negative times a negative is a positive. And then 1 times 5 gives us 5 on the bottom. So 91/5. Okay, word problem on number 41. So it's good to have your book in front of you. I'll read it, but I know it's helpful if you see it. Muriel has a piece of ribbon that is 10 inches long. We've got a 10-inch ribbon. Abby's ribbon is 5/8 as long. So 5/8 as long as the 10-inch one. How long is Abby's ribbon? So it's 5/8 as long as, or 5/8 of the 10 inches. So we'll do 5/8 times 10. And I do put the 10/1, so it's a fraction. I can cancel some things out. 8 and 10 are both divisible by 2, so I'll divide them both by 2. Then we get 5 times 5 on top, 4 times 1 on the bottom. And you could keep that. I wouldn't mind if you give it an improper fraction, but you could also say 4 goes into 25 6 times, because 6 times 4 is 24. And that would leave 1 left over to get you up to 25, so it's 6¼ inches long. Okay, 42. A liter of water weighs approximately 2 1/5 pounds. While backpacking, Enrique wants to carry 3.5 liters of water with him. Find the weight of the water Enrique is taking. So we'll need to multiply these two together, because 1 liter weighs 2.5 pounds, and he wants to take 3.5 liters. So if we multiply those together, that'll tell us how much weight he's carrying in water. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Nothing we can cancel out between 5 and 7, or 2 and 11. So we multiply them together. 11 times 7 is 77. 5 times 2 is 10. And I think it does make sense to convert to a mixed number when we're talking about objects. 10 goes into 70 7 times. That leaves 7 left over. So it's 7 7/10 pounds of water that he would be carrying. Okay, so that covers our multiplying. Now we're going to move on to the division part. So 43 asks us to do, multiplicative inverse. Okay. So this is where you have a fraction, then you flip it over. So this is the beginning, which you might say, well, wait, that's not a fraction. True, we need to make it one. So any whole number, you can make it a fraction by putting it over 1. Then to get the reciprocal, you just flip it upside down. And it doesn't matter if you put the negative on the top or the bottom. That's not an issue, but it should stay negative. So the reciprocal for number 43 is negative 1 over 16. 44, 7 over 9 is what we start with. So its reciprocal is just that upside down or flipped. So it's 9 over 7. 45, we have 3 4/5. So before we can find the reciprocal, we need to write this as an improper fraction. You can't just flip the fraction and leave the whole number the way it is. You've got to rewrite it as an improper fraction, then flip it. So 3 times 5 is 15, plus 4 is 19. So 19 over 5, that's equal to what we started with. So its reciprocal is just that number flipped over, which is 5 over 19. 46, still finding the reciprocal, or the multiplicative inverse, as they like to say. And this will be similar. We got to convert it to an improper fraction first. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So what's equal to that is negative 13 over 3. So the reciprocal will be when we flip that upside down and make it negative 3 over 13. $47. Finally, to some division questions. 7 over 9 divided by negative 4/15. So you got to remember, when we're dividing, we have to multiply by the reciprocal. We keep first fraction the same, change the division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. Now, after you've done the flipping, and you have to make sure you flip first, then we can check for cross products just like we did in multiplying. So 7 and 4 have nothing in common, but 9 and 15 are both divisible by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. Negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. So 7 divided by negative 5 is negative 35. And 3 times 4 is 12. So negative 35 over 12 is our answer. Okay, 48. Negative 2 2/3 divided by 2 2/7. So our first step here is to convert them into improper fractions. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 2 is 16. To divide by a fraction, you have to multiply by its reciprocal. So we keep, change, flip. And we'll check for things we can cancel out. 3 and 7, there's nothing they have in common. Negative 8 and 16 can both be divided by 8. So divide this by 8 and we get negative 1. Divide this by 8 and we get 2. So now we can multiply. Negative 1 times 7 is negative 7. 3 times 2 is 6. (49) 3/5 divided by 9/10. They're already in fraction form, so we just go straight to multiplying by the reciprocal. So change the division to multiply and flip the second fraction. There's lots of canceling out or reducing we can do here. 5 and 10 are both divisible by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 3 and 9 are both divisible by 9. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. (50) 3 and 1/9 divided by negative 1 and 1/6. So our first step here, that is a 9, sorry, is to convert them into improper fractions. 3 times 9 is 27, plus 1 is 28. 1 times 6 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Then to divide by a fraction, we have to multiply by its reciprocal, so we change to multiplication and flip the second fraction. And again on this one we have lots we can cancel out. 9 and 6 are divisible by 3, so 9 divided by 3 is 3. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. 7 and 28 are both divisible by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 28 divided by 7 is 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. 3 times 1 is 3. And 51. This is a word problem. Pilar drinks 1 3/4 glasses of milk each day. So 1 3/4. At this rate, how many days will it take her to drink a total of 14 glasses? So it's that many per day. And the question is, how many days will it take for her to drink 14 glasses? So we'll actually need to do 14 divided by 1 3/4. So 14 divided by 1 3/4. Because since she does that many per day, if we divide 14 by that number, that tells us how many days it takes to get up to 14. So I'll change 14 to 14 over 1. I'll convert this to an improper fraction. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7. Then, to divide by a fraction, you have to multiply by its reciprocal. We cannot cancel out anything with 1 and 4, but we can with 7 and 14. They're both divisible by 7. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. So it will take her 8 days to drink 14 glasses in total. Okay, I believe that wraps up the multiplying and dividing part. Now we'll switch over to addition and subtraction. 55 is our first one. 5 3/7 plus 2 6/7. Okay, so remember we're changing gears here because with multiplying and dividing, we did not have to have the same denominators, but with adding and subtracting, we do. But we do, just like we did in multiplying and dividing, have to change them to improper fractions first. So 5 times 7 is 35, plus 3, sorry, I'm thinking wrong. Back up. we don't have to change the improper fractions. So these are already like terms. So we can add the whole numbers together. We can add the fractions together. So we have a total of 7 and 9/7. But, sorry, I didn't have to write that plus sign there, but 9/7 is improper. So we've got to convert it. Keep the 7 the way it is. 9/7. 7 goes into 9 one time with 2 left over. 7 plus 1 is 8. So our total is 8 and 2/7. Okay, 56. It says Samantha's going to walk 3 5/16 miles today and 2 3/16 tomorrow. What is the total distance she will walk? So since we want the total distance, we just add these together. We add the whole numbers. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5/16 plus 3/16 is 8/16, and that will reduce to 1/2. So the total she will walk is 5.5 miles. $58 is next. 2/5 plus 1/15. So here's one where we have to adjust the denominator because they don't match this time. It did here, they were both 7. It did here, they were both 16. But here, one is 5 and one is 15. So the least common denominator we can get for 5 and 15 is 15. Because 15 goes into itself evenly and 5 goes into 15 evenly. So to turn 5 into 15, we multiply top and bottom by 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. We don't have to make any change here because it's already a 15. 6 plus 1 is 7, and we keep the denominators the same. So 7 over 15. Next up is 62. It's a subtraction problem, 25 1/3 minus 14 2/5. Okay, so again, we've got to get common denominators to make this work out. So the least common denominator between 3 and 5 would be 15. So here we multiply the top and bottom by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 5 is 15. To make 5 into 15, I'll multiply the top and bottom by 3. So do remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do the same to the top as far as multiplying. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, so we actually tended to write these vertically. It doesn't actually matter whether you do or not, but I'll go with the pattern we did. It's a 15, my mistake. So you see, this is one we're going to have to borrow because we can't do 5 minus 6. So to borrow, I have to reduce the whole number by 1. And then by borrowing that, I add the denominator to the numerator. So 15 plus 5, I now have 20 over 15. Then we subtract the whole numbers. 24 minus 14 is 10. 20 minus 6 is 14. And we keep the denominator the same. So our final answer is 10 and 14 over 15. Last one, 63. 7 3/4 plus 1 3/8. Okay, so we need these to have the same denominators. The lowest common denominator, or least common denominator between 4 and 8 is 8. So again, we don't have to change this one because it's already 8. But this one we'll need to multiply the top and bottom by 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 2 is 8. Then we'll add the whole numbers together. 7 plus 1 is 8. Add the numerators together. 6 and 3 is 9. And we keep the denominator the same. Okay, so this is an improper fraction which we can't put with the whole number. So we'll need to convert that into a mixed number. 8 goes into 9 one time with 1 left over. So our final answer, we need to combine 8 with 1 1/8. So 8 plus 1 is 9 and 1/8.